actually sent, and the screen just froze the whole screen. But as far as you know, the internet's working. You're welcome. I don't know if I actually sent it to her or not. It looked. I tried to transmit it, and it looks like my screen froze. All right. I meant to say I did, but I can't be sure.
How high can that thing go?
This one, maybe not, I guess, 4,000. It's a selfie stick. Selfie stick. That's what it is from here to there. That's a gimbal. That's what I'm buying. I'm buying this selfie.
Get started. We do have a quorum. City Attorney, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr.
City
Mayor.
Clerk,
Yes, sir.
City Manager,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolden,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Sergeant Lieutenant. I call this special meeting of Tuesday, September the 24th, 2019 to order at 6:12 p.m. May we please stand for the invocation given by Reverend Smart, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, as we come together for the good of this city, we ask you to bless our meetings, keep us in knowledge of what's going on, help the citizens to help the council, and bless each and every one of us. And we ask this in your holy name, Father. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Babb,
Present.
Commissioner Bolin,
Present.
Commissioner Everett, Commissioner Hill, Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
City Manager,
Here.
Interim City Attorney Mrs. Weeks,
Here.
and Attorney Crawford,
Yes. Here.
Sergeant at Arms, and City Clerk is present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, staff. And thank each of you all for being here today to participate in our special meeting of Tuesday, September the 24th, 2019. This special meeting of the City of Pahokee is being held as a public hearing. And at this time, I'll have our city attorney read the first item of the public hearing agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. Final millage fiscal year 2019/2020, Resolution 2019-42. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, adopting a final millage for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2020, pursuant to Section 200.065 Florida statutes, computing the rollback rate providing for the adoption of representations, providing instructions to the city manager, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. City Commissioners, Resolution 2019-42 has been properly read into the minutes. At this time, I have our city manager give a brief description of this particular resolution.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. This is our millage rate for 2019-2020. It's a rollback rate. It's a millage rate of 6.5 per thousand taxable property value here in the city of Pahokee. This is putting you in the proper perspective for taxes to be rendered here in the city of Pahokee for 2019-2020. That supports your budget for 2019-2020.
Thank you, City Manager. At this time, I will open the public hearing on Resolution 2018-42. Or anyone in the audience wishing to address this particular resolution? Hearing none. Former Mayor Colin Walks.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Commission. I was not privy to see the upcoming fiscal year budget, but I do have a question about the fiscal year upcoming budget. And I think maybe the city manager can answer that question for me there. When it comes to capital projects in the city, I would like to know how much money was earmarked in the budget for capital projects in the city.
Are you able to address that, City Manager? You want to take a jab at it?
I won't give a specific amount because we have our surtax dollars that are coming in throughout the entire fiscal year. That's a specific amount every month for capital improvements, for a dollar amount, specifically how much we're going to get. You quite don't know that because it fluctuates every month. The capital dollars coming in, sometimes it's like 29K, sometimes it's like 31,000. So it fluctuates every month.
Correct.
Yes. Usually in between the areas where we get our capital improvement dollars for surtax projects. So we don't know specifically how much for the entire year. We can project based on what we got last year, what we're going to receive this year. And so that's really where we at with for as capital improvements.
Okay. Those are specific to, you're talking specific to dollars allocated from surtax.
Yes,
but
sir.
I'm talking in general to capital projects
Right.
from the city perspective.
Our capital and projects from the city perspective, as you know, rest on how successful we are with our legislative funding. We usually fit all of our capital improvements under legislative funding. And typically, you've experienced this more so than I have for quite some time, that it depends on how successful we are.
You've been here longer than I've been.
Well,
Yes, sir.
it depends on how successful we are in Tallahassee with those infrastructure requests.
And how
because we have a
successful
limited-
are we for 2019, 2020?
I can't say that until we get into a legislative session. We do have
But we're
5
finalizing
projects.
the budget based on numbers we don't know?
No. We don't finalize legislative funding on this
No, I'm
budget.
saying
That's a projection, but
I'm
it's
saying
never
we're
in the budget.
finalizing the budget here today,
On
but we-
surtax.
but we do not know the funding that we will receive from the state.
No, you never
county.
know that. You don't know that until till the legislation, session ends. And I give them a minute. I'll give them another minute. Legislation session ends, and how that flushes out, whether you're going to get approved for additional infrastructure or not. However, with our surtax, because you were here when that was passed, that's definitive of what we.
No, I wasn't here when that was passed. I opposed the surtax. I was not mayor at the time.
Well, when we were having a discussion, you're correct. So we can't project that area of capital improvement, only our surtax dollars, which, as I said, we can project about $29,000 a year for those pre-approved projects that were approved at that time. So it sort of goes on how successful can we be in Tallahassee for those legislative state-funded projects, which we have 5 in the queue, have already been submitted for this year. And I
Okay,
can
city
welcome
manager,
our-
I understand the budget fluctuates as the year goes,
Right.
but hopefully we are successful in Tallahassee and with the county.
Right.
All right.
And
thank you.
if you want a copy of that, I can
Yes,
give you a
I
copy of it.
I would.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any additional comments from the audience? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing for Resolution 2019-42. City Commissioners, we have had Resolution 2042 read into the minutes. And what's your pleasure?
Mayor, I make a motion to accept the final mileage fiscal year 2019-2020, resolution 2019-42.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Bowden that we accept and approve Resolution 2018-42. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The resolution passes by a unanimous 3-0 vote. Now we'll move into the budget for the fiscal year 2018-20, Resolution 2019-43. City Attorney.
Yes, sir. Final budget fiscal year 2019/2020, Resolution 2019-43, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, relating to finances, providing for the adoption and funding of the final municipal budget of the City of Pahokee, Florida, in the amount of $8,931,675 for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2019, and ending September 30th, 2020, providing for adoption of representations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. At this time, I'll have our city manager give us a brief description of Resolution 2018-42 and its purpose.
Mayor Commissioner, this is your 2019-2020 budget. As you know, we go through this process on a yearly basis. We always are hopeful that over the course of the previous year that things change, properties, new businesses, more housing, those things sort of affect a lot of our budget, but overall, it sort of remains the same. We try to get creative with some of our larger contracts, like our law enforcement contract, our waste services contract. We try to see where we can, one, reduce any type of increase from these entities, while at the same time provide some of the, premier services for the municipality. We have currently right now, as you're aware, a waste services ITV on the street for bid. We hope that the results of that will yield some reductions in some of our race services for the next 5 years, whoever's awarded that contract. And if so, we'll come back and we'll make some adjustments to the anticipated costs. But right now, we're on we're with a cost analysis with Waste Management Services, which has provided services here since 2014. So we're hopeful that within there somewhere we'll find some dollars that can be saved for waste services. It's always good to go out competitively for this type of service. Sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can be bad, but we're hoping that the entities that have inquired thus far come back with something that we can all live with as far as waste services is concerned. And hopefully that will affect the 2019-2020 budget as well. But this is your 2019-2020 budget. There was a question the last meeting from the 4.3 million to the 8.9. That was because of the new highway project you have coming online this fiscal year on Barfield Highway between now and the end of the fiscal year to 2020. So that dramatically changed the budget because we expect those dollars to come in to pay for that project as well. And you have to include it in the budget for the fiscal year. So we're excited about that project. I know the former mayor stood up about capital projects, so we're excited about that project for Barfield Highway. So we know we are a little, taking our time with that. It's been a long haul of trying to get that out, but we got some administrative things to take care of, and we'll be pushing that project forward for 2019, 2020. And it's a large project in this year's budget as well. But it won't be coming from general funds. It's a SCOP project that was provided by the state of Florida. And so we won't be expending any of our funds. It'll be the SCOP money awarded to us about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Thank you, City Manager.
Yeah.
At this time, I will open Resolution 2019-43, open for a public hearing. Are there anyone from the audience wishing to speak on Resolution 2019-43, a final budget fiscal year 2019-20?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, if I may. I asked
Just
earlier.
state your name again, Mr.
Colin Walks, resident, City of Pahokee. Mr. Mayor, City Commission, I asked earlier about capital projects, and we did not know how much we were going to receive for capital projects, but we're talking Barfield Highway. Is there a specific number for that project?
The city was awarded about a year and a half, 2 years ago, $4.4 million.
So 4.4. That would show the discrepancy as far as
Why it
from one
fluctuated from
annual
four.
year to the other
Correct.
annual year.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's the only capital project that we're anticipating funds for?
No, we've already been awarded those, but we know the project is coming online in this upcoming fiscal year, so we have to represent it in the budget. But yes, so far, that's the only remaining capital project outside of all the other capital projects we've completed the last 18 months that is coming online outside of what's currently being done now in the city, what we anticipate with the gymnasium with the county doing their renovations, and some additional renovations we'll do here, at Parks and Recreation, and of course, again, surtax.
I would just like to have a meeting with you.
Sure.
To see about those projects,
Right.
because we're saying that we don't have a specific amount for capital projects, but we're anticipating capital
Well,
projects.
Capital projects and legislative funding, they're kind of two different animals. So you have to be careful when you say capital projects and you're talking about state grant money. It's a little different when you're saying projected capital projects. What do you have for capital projects versus what's already been awarded for the last 2 years that's coming off the shelf now that we have to include in this budget. What we project, what we probably can, get awarded from the state and these state agencies for future capital projects. It's a little tricky because, as you know, and you were here when we started the Glaze resurfacing project, which was supposed to last for 10 years, and that money will expire. And you were here when they started the SCOP, Small County Outreach Program, which is what gets Barfield done, McClure Highway, Road repaired as well. So those are programs that address infrastructure. But when you talk about direct infrastructure dollars that we can identify moving forward, we put majority of our infrastructure projections under that legislative funding, which again, we have in the queue now, but we can't project it will be awarded.
Okay.
But I'll gladly meet with you, and we can
Correct.
go over it directly about some of those things, and some additional questions, and sort of kind of clean it. It's always not as clear here sometimes until you sit down and have a review. So I have no problems with that. If you
Correct.
want
The
to.
reason why I'm asking about capital projects is because hopefully I can get 30 more seconds here.
Yes.
The reason I'm asking about them because we have an opportunity as a city. We were, as citizens here in the city of Pahokee, we applied for the REAP grant through the Office of Community Revitalization, OCR, and we were granted those funds to bring a bus stop terminal here to the city of Pahokee. But we're going to need support from our city to make sure that that project is secured in the amount of $2,800 to make sure that we secure that project. The county has awarded, and it will come through their budget, the $10,000 for that terminal, but we need support from the city to make sure that that happens. And the reason I'm asking is because I want to see in the budget any surpluses or anything of that nature that can possibly be utilized to help secure that bus terminal here in the city.
Thank you, Mr. Watt.
That, we've discussed this before. And a lot of these bus terminals set on some of the areas, the right-of-ways that we have to repair anyway, sidewalks, et cetera. And so there is surtax, dollars in there for those types of projects to repair, extended areas of that sort with that connected to the right-of-way and the sidewalk. So, it's not something that we can say no to, because we need bus shelters here in the city of Pahokee. So it's something that we can discuss for our projects for 2019, 2020.
Excellent, thank you.
Are there any other persons wishing to make comments on Resolution 2019-43?
Thank you. Katherine Martinez, 1838 East Main Street, Pahokee, Florida. I'm sorry if I'm asking a repetitive question, or maybe I just don't know the answer. Has the budget been made available for any of citizens to review before this point in time, or is this something that's just available to the commission?
No, you can get a copy of the budget.
Have you voted to finalize the budget?
They'll do that tonight.
Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
what I'm asking for was the draft made available for the public's review.
The draft?
The draft, the document that you guys are working on right now to form the completed budget that you're
There-
going to vote on for tonight.
There's no more draft. The drafts for.
I'm
doing
not
budget.
asking if there's a draft, excuse me. I asked, was it made available to the public for their review while you were working on putting
Not
your
drafts.
budget together?
Not drafts. That was doing budget workshops. Not
Okay.
drafts. If you're saying drafts that change all
Okay.
the time, no, we didn't make drafts available. No,
Okay.
but we can make it.
Forget the word drafts.
Okay.
The-
Yeah. But no, you can have a copy of the budget.
Okay,
Yes.
again, I'm asking, was the working copy that you all were working on made available
That's a
to the
draft.
public?
When you say working copy, that's a draft.
All right, enough of
Yeah.
what I say and what you say. You clearly, I believe, understand what I'm talking about.
Let me see if
The-
I can just clarify.
Yes,
The
please.
copy we have here, city clerk or
Yeah.
city manager.
They can get copies of
was
that.
online?
This is
I'm
available.
saying, prior to tonight, was it
Could you get a copy
online,
of
or did we pass it out? Or
We
was
don't
it-
have online to display.
Okay.
it,
Okay.
But we can
All
hard
right.
copy it.
Then
if
can
you
I
want it.
ask
If
you,
don't have a way to
since-
announce it online right now.
Since I don't know what is the difference between last year's budget, this year's budget, what the actuals, what the expenditures were, and what the future numbers are in the budgeting, so there's just a couple of things. Is it possible for you to tell me if there have been any management salaries that have been raised without commission input or without citizen input prior to, from last year's budget to this year's, the one that you're about to propose for voting on?
You answer that?
Yes.
We're always projecting a 1 or 2% across the board in departments for increases, and that's representative in the budget. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so nothing has gone above 1 or 2%.
Across the entire departments of the entire city.
I'm
no.
asking for each individual, for individual persons. Has any one individual working for their city received in that budget an increase in salary more than the 1 or 2%?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, it's across
Excuse me.
departments. No one has received a 1 or 2% by themselves, not even I. My contract hasn't even been discussed. It's projected, but hasn't been approved.
There's a projected $138,000 for you.
Right, and that's contractual, meaning when my contract comes up, that can go all the way down to 0%, but that's projected because I'm on contract and my other staff aren't.
But I thought when we did the budget that we decided it was going to stay at 118.
No, that's just like you just decided you're gonna have waste management services for 2019, 2020, but you don't know exactly what you're gonna have until that contract is signed for the new 5 years. Same thing with my contract. Same thing. That's
So
a
you'll be
projection,
negotiating
but-
your salary
Yes,
again
ma'am.
at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So that'll change.
And,
Time, I'm sorry, time is up on your question.
well,
I'm sorry.
that's okay, I don't need the extra 30 seconds. I'm good.
Thank you.
I'll be back.
Any additional comments from the audience? Hearing none, I close the public hearing on Resolution 2018-43. City Commissioners haven't had Resolution 2018-43 properly read into the minutes, properly overviewed by the city manager. What's your pleasure? And properly having a public hearing, what's your pleasure?
Remember, I make a resolution to accept the final budget fiscal year 2019-2020, resolution 2019-43.
Thank you. It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Everett for the adoption of Resolution 2018-43, the final budget fiscal year 2019-20. Call for questions.
I'm a little confused. Okay, so the 138 that's in this city manager, that's in here for you, that's gonna go back down to 118?
No, ma'am. We haven't done a contract for the city manager in about 2 years. That's a projection what is being asked for. As you know, when we get into negotiations, that will change. That's a projection. That will change.
Right, but doesn't this budget start next week?
Yeah.
So wouldn't it start with the
Yeah, if it-
138, or it doesn't
No,
start?
ma'am.
It'll
Nope,
start,
nope.
it stays at
It
118?
stays the same until you do a new contract. with me.
Okay.
Just a projection for me.
In addition, a question, comments from the city commission. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes?
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2019-43 passes by unanimous vote. That concludes our special meeting. Meeting is now adjourned. We will reconvene in 3 minutes by regular commission. Manager, City Commission meeting. City Attorney, are you ready at this time?
Public service announcement.
Yes, sir.
PSA.
Ordinance number 29,
No, I was-
I'm sorry.
Just stating where you're ready so we can begin the meeting. Just trying to get
I'm ready
everybody on
to
the same page.
Yes,
City-
we're on the same page now.
Thank you, ma'am. City Clerk, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
City Manager,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett, Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Sergeant at Arms. I call this regular city commission meeting of the city of Pahokee, Tuesday, September the 24th, 2019 at 6:43 to order. May we please stand for the invocation given by Deacon Bobby Coven, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father, tonight we're thankful for our city of Pahokee. God, I just ask you to give our leaders special wisdom as they make decisions about things that are going to go on in this city, their decisions. I ask you to give the citizens special wisdom in questions that need to be asked, Lord, so that we are informed about what's happening. Just bless this meeting tonight, we pray, and we thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab.
Present.
Commissioner Boland.
Present?
Commissioner Everett. Commissioner Hill.
Present.
Vice Mayor Mervin.
Present.
City Manager.
Here.
Interim City Attorney Mrs. Weeks.
Here.
Attorney Lisa Crawford.
Here.
Sergeant at Arms. City Clerk is present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, staff, and thank each of you all for being here tonight to participate in our regular scheduled commission meeting of Tuesday, September 24th, 2019. At this time, we'll move directly into our agenda items. City Manager, at this time, do we have any addition, deletions of the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I would like to make an addition for our agenda, and that is to add Glaze Global Business Group on our agenda for presentation.
Okay, we have a request by Commissioner Everett to add an item on the agenda. I'd like to seek commission approval for the,
Mayor, we can do it all at once. You want to do it all at once?
okay.
Okay.
That'll be fine.
Okay. Mayor, we have additions, two additions, one ordinance 2019-02. It'll be on first reading. Ordinance 2019-02. We then have a resolution, 2019-45.
Okay.
That's it for additions, deletions from the city manager.
Thank you. And Commissioner Everett, would you repeat the entity you want added on?
Glaze Global Business Group.
And if that's approved, we'll add them on the presentation. City Commission, haven't heard the three add-ons. I entertain a motion to accept and approve.
Mayor Bab, I'd like to make a motion to accept the add-ons, ordinance 2019-02, resolution 2019-45, and Glaze Global Business Group.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of the agenda presented with the addition of the three add-ons. Ordinance 2018-02, first reading, resolution 2018-45, and a presentation by Glaze Global Business. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The agenda passes by unanimous vote. Now we'll move into our citizen comments. Must be agenda item only. Must have a comment card completed. City Clerk, at this time, do we have any comment card completed pertaining to agenda items?
Yes, sir. Mr. Bobby Coven.
My name is Bobby Colvin, 3096 Bacon Point Road. And I would like to speak to an agenda item, but I have no idea what the item is because it was just added on. I would like, if I could, on this ordinance 2019-02 and 03, to be allowed to speak after I hear what it is. That's one of the reasons I've brought up many times, these late add-on things to our meeting. Why couldn't it wait till next time, or why couldn't it have been put on the sheet? I want to speak, but I can't because I don't even know what the ordinances contain. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, are there any additional comments card pertaining to agenda items?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll move to our public service comments announcements. Also must have a public service comment card completed. At this time, City Clerk, do we have any public service comments?
Yes, sir. The first one is Reverend Margaret Smart. No.
Good evening. Margaret Smart, 997 Beckham Point Road. Last meeting, I mentioned the National Take Your Bible to School Day. I wanted to remind the council about that, the commission about that, and let the public know. October the 3rd, next week, is National Take Your Bible to School Day. And I hope that the city will put it out in their emails or whatever they send out. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Smart. Madam Clerk, are there any additional comments card pertaining to a public service announcement?
Yes, sir. The next one is Miss Katherine Martinez.
Yes, I am Katherine Martinez. I have lived out here in the Glades for over 20 years. I live in Belle Glade, 667 Southeast 2nd Street. But I've also been a teacher here in Pahokee High School for many, many years, and I still volunteer there. I represent the Coalition of the Baha'i Faith out here in the Glades. We are having a special event on the 28th of October, and we would like to invite the public, but specifically elected officials. We have gotten some confirmations already, and I will give the invitation to the clerk. All we ask is that you RSVP because we are going to be giving out gift bags to the people who attend. So I will do that. Now, taking off that hat, putting on another hat, I am also with the League of Women Voters. We are doing a special drive now for the census, educating people about the census. And this I would like to extend to the public here as well as to you. We are willing to come and talk about the census to anyone who would like to educate their their group, whether it's a sorority, fraternity, civic group, church, whatever it is. We are here and at your service, and we are also working on voter registration. We're doing a special push for the young people who will be turning 18 before the 2020 election. But anyone over 16 can register, and then they will receive their cards when they turn 18. So I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, what
Yes.
was the name of the event?
The event is going to be, the event that I'm inviting you to in West Palm Beach. It's at the Hilton Palm Beach Airport Hotel. It's celebrating the bicentenary, that is 200 years, of the birth of the Bab, who was one of the founders of the Baha'i Faith. And we've already had some confirmation from some elected officials, but we would like to extend a special invitation to all of you out here.
What's the date and time now?
The date will be, the date is 6:30 PM, October 28th. That will be, that is a Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your time.
Madam Clerk, are there any additional comments pertaining to agenda items? Public service announcements. Sorry.
Yes, sir. The last one is from Mrs. Josie Hernandez.
Josefa Josie Hernandez, 2520 Southwest 14th Terrace, Pahokee, Florida, 33476. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
There's three things. One thing, first one is tomorrow we have a wellness fair at Pahokee Elementary from 5 to 6:30. And I would like to extend the invitation to all of you all. It's not just if you have parents, if you have children there, it's for the public. And there's going to be several people speaking in blood pressure, free screenings, breast cancer. We're trying to also do a yoga, a dance class around here, and a Zumba class. And that's the first thing. Second thing, I would like to invite you all to, me with Fanny Jackson. She's brand new to the Glaze area. She's the breast cancer navigator for the Glaze area, and she's stationed in Lakeside. And together we're trying to develop and do, have enough representatives so that we can do the walk for the Susan Coleman Walk in West Palm Beach that will be held in October. And I would like Pahokee to be represented. And I'm here to extend the invitation that if you're interested to do the walk with me, you know, get in contact with me so that we can get together and do this walk. And I would think it would be nice that we represent Pahokee. And that's my invitation to you all. Our next meeting, I'll give you a flyer of the exact date. And that way, if you're interested, so that we can all be there in West Palm Beach. And the last thing is that Sharon and Bobby were the chosen people to represent Pahokee for the senior Tri-City proms. And they representative at the Glades Central Parade that was held last week. And they will be also we will have also a float on October 18th for our homecoming Pahokee parade. And they will be also included in that parade. So I just wanted to let you all know that Belglade and South Bay are also coming to the Pahokee parade on that date. And that'll be it, and y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it, man.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move to the approval of the minutes, August 27, 2018, City Commission Workshop minutes. I entertain a motion for its adoption.
What was it, Mayor?
The approval of the minutes of August 27th, a workshop meeting.
Mayor Bear, I make a motion to approve the minutes, August 27, 2019, Commission Workshop minutes.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Boland for the adoption and approval of the August 27, 2018 Commission Workshop minutes. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The minutes of the August 27, 2018 Commission Workshop minutes have been approved by unanimous 5-0 vote. We don't have any consent agenda items. We do have an ordinance 2019-02, first reading. City Attorney, could you read it into the minutes?
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, repealing and replacing Article 2, Section 2-26, entitled Rules of Procedure, renumbering and reordering Article 2, 2-27 through Article 2-30, expanding established rules and procedures for city commission meetings, providing for compensation procedures for requesting information and reporting citizen complaints, providing for public records definition, designating city clerk as custodian of records, providing for inspection of public records, establishing prohibition against removing and withholding records from custodian, providing for public hearings, providing for indemnification of municipal offices, establishing interest and administrative fees on city services, providing for settlement of claims, establishing settlement of claims procedures, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. At this time, I will have the city manager give us just a brief background of the purpose of this proposed resolution.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
I'm gonna yield to the city attorney for this resolution explanation.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. This is an ordinance which takes into account some of the things that you all have been bringing up that we thought we could put in one ordinance and combine it with some of the things that are existing in your existing rules of procedure. This ordinance specifically, it deals with, well, it first of all renumbers and establishes the order of your rules of procedure, which you have existing, and it incorporates some other things that I did not see existing. For instance, I didn't see where there was anything specifically designating the city clerk as the public records custodian, and of course the laws change, and it requires that the city clerk, there's notice of it, that you know who that person is, that it's displayed in some visible area of your, of your lobby, which I'm sure you do, that part, and other things. So also, I didn't see anything about the actual issues regarding, custodian records issues that you see in other cities, and so I incorporated that, where if there are documents and things that the city clerk, those documents would need to go to the city clerk for her keeping, and she would be the person who would deal with the public records. Also, it would slightly revise the order of your meetings in terms of doing business more efficiently, which would allow for public comment, but everything to be combined at one time, so you operate like other cities, and you would have a specific area on the agenda for the public to speak, but not necessarily about agenda items or anything else. They could come up and speak about any item they'd like to for the same period of time that they speak currently. There are other issues regarding allowing determining how decorum should be established, and that everyone is supposed to conduct themselves with dignity, including the public as well as the commissioners toward each other. I did not see where there were, clear issues in your current code which would establish those things, and so it is clear. It also talks about the duties and responsibilities, which you did have some things, but this expands upon the duties of the mayor as the presiding officer. And these, again, are things that other cities have in their rules of procedure. And so we will be making these things sort of consistent with things that you see in rules of procedures. It also talked about one of the things that's come up from the commissioners was having a specific time that meetings ended so that you wouldn't go well into the night with your meetings. And so this would actually have the commission meeting beginning not later than 6:30 and ending not later than 9, which, or, you know, you all could obviously change that or amend it so that you have some flexibility there, but at least you would have some rules which dealt with it, because that issue has come up several times from the mayor and commissioners regarding going late into the night on your meetings. It also deals with citizen rights and in terms of the right to be heard and who to deal with and the manner that issues are to be heard. So those issues are dealt with. You had some language regarding special meetings, and that language is pretty much consistent with what you had previously. It incorporates the same issues regarding compensation that you had previously. That language is just folded in one area so that it's in the, you know, in one area and consistent. Also, it deals with absences from meetings, and you all had that language again existing, and so that was just incorporated in the regular language. It also deals with attendance by phone, which you had that existing already, and that was just incorporated here. It reorders your order of business, so you can see under, I think it's section 4 of the proposed ordinance, which talks about how you, and it's pretty much similar to what you have existing, with the exception of just a few things. For instance, on future agenda items, after you all would decide, and if it gets 3 votes, that would come up on the very next agenda as a future agenda item. And then you would have for the good of the order at the end, those being just community events and feel-good events, so that you have something that's kind of uplifting at the end of your agenda, and you're not sort of starting a new meeting at the end with, you know, basically regurgitating some things that you may have had on your agenda before, which extends your meeting unnecessarily. And so it has, you know, just I think a nice order of business that would probably work a little bit better for you all. In terms of the votes required, it will be the same, and that is specifically stated in the ordinance. It would, of course, take 3 votes to pass anything, so none of that changes. And I think if you take a look at it, there are just common sense kind of things. It's not anything, and there are certain definitions that are set forth so that people understand what indemnification means, and that you know, and things like that, so that language would be clear. Those are the highlights. Other than, I will say there's some settlement language that allows for things to be dealt with in terms of how you know, if there is and this I kind of debated about, and if it's too much, you can certainly take it out. But it would give some. Let me try to find it. I'm looking. I apologize. I'm looking on my phone and trying to get to it. But anyway, there's some language at the end which deals with settlement of claims for, you know, administrative things, for instances where municipal property has been damaged or municipal employees have been injured due to actions of third parties. And how that could be dealt with the city manager doing an evaluation, and if it's less than $5,000 in damage, giving that manager the authority to approve of those things. I don't know how often those things will come up or if they have, but this is the type of language that you see in other municipal rules of procedure, and so I left that in there. But those are the highlights, and you know, certainly it's open for discussion and change, and however you all thought would work best for the city of Pahokee. But what I have been doing is just taking notes of things that I either haven't seen or things that you said, and incorporating those things into this one document that will give you some guidance on rules that may help the meeting operate better. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. I know we'll get a chance to ask some additional questions. This is not going to be passed in one night, one commission meeting. This is the first hearing on this particular item. So we'll go through the procedure for us having a motion for the acceptance and a second, then we can go into some discussion prior to passing or rejecting. So at this time, I would entertain a motion for the adoption of this ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer a motion that we accept ordinance 2019-2 for discussion and consideration.
A second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of ordinance, resolution 2019-44.
Ordinance.
So ordinance
Ordinance.
29-02.
I'm out of it.
I see several notes over there.
Ordinance, Mayor.
Ordinance 2019-02, sorry. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Call for questions.
Yeah, I have a couple. Can I ask, why are we going from a couple of pages in the ordinances I looked up? This is covered in a couple of pages to 13 pages that we got handed yesterday. I don't know why we need 13 pages more of stuff, and I certainly don't know why we would put it on the agenda tonight when there's a lot in here that, I'll just give you an example. Members of the city commission shall not individually act without the support of the city commission. What does that mean? Does that mean we can't do anything by ourselves? We can't meet with constituents? We can't have our own programs?
No, if I may, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What that means, Commissioner Boland, is that you would not, one individual absent the, obviously you can meet with citizens and you can do things that you would normally do, but in terms of acting on behalf as one person, any individual on behalf of the city without the city commission, authorizing it. And I'm not talking about ceremonial things that the mayor would do in his position as mayor that's authorized by the charter, but to take specific action as an individual commissioner, you couldn't go out and and represent yourself as holding yourself out as representing, which you can't really do anyway. I mean, it just makes it clear the things that you really can't do anyway. And it doesn't take away any powers that you already have. These are things that are, basically things that would be normal things. I mean, you can't act on behalf of the city without the commissioners authorizing it. You can act on behalf of, you can obviously serve in your role as a city commissioner. You can meet with residents. You can, do all of the things that you're doing now. But if you're doing it and you're holding yourself out as doing it for the city, that would have to be something that's approved by the city and by at least the majority of the commission.
Okay, that's how you took it. That's not how I took it. It doesn't say that. It says what I read. So I think that's up for interpretation. And this whole thing is written for interpretation. It says the city manager and the city attorney may agenda an item for discussion and vote without commission consideration.
That happens right now. So the city manager puts on items every commission meeting, and like this item where it's something that you all have been discussing and I think would certainly help. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. It's not. Trust me, I'm not going to be putting stuff on your agenda, but the city manager does that every month. That's his job. So that wouldn't be any different than what you have right now. It's just that you wouldn't have, for instance, one individual person, using the resources of, the staff when it doesn't have the full consent of at least the majority of the commission. For instance, and it's not unlike language that you see in other rules of procedure. What you don't want is individual commissioners having giving orders about taking actions that are not supported by the majority of the commission. And so this just makes it clearer for things as you operate currently, because I don't think anybody's really operating like that now, but these are the things that make it clear through your rules of procedure.
Yeah, some of the.
It also talks about
I'm sorry,
that-
go ahead, Commissioner Bowling. I'm sorry.
sorry.
I was gonna say, some of these things that she's mentioning, they're almost like codification. I mean, you're already practicing them, but they are not, as she is saying, visible in some of the things that are in our code of ordinances. That's just a few of the things that she's pointing out. Go ahead, Commissioner Bowling.
Can I say something?
I just really don't see, this is an interim attorney, and we're making major, and I'm talking major, there's like 13 pages of changes here. And I don't see the reason for us to make 13 pages of changes with an interim city attorney, and we may hire somebody else who comes along in a month and says, I don't know what you did that for, we need to undo all of that. So there's nothing in here that matters that has to be taken care of tonight. So why would we go through this?
It's first reading, we're not.
I understand that, but then 2 weeks from now, it's gonna be the second reading, and then it's done. And there's nothing in here that has to be taken care of tonight. I don't understand why we're making all these changes. She obviously, I don't think, read the charter, because all of that was in the charter. Half of this is in our charter. Are we making changes to our charter? We're not allowed to do that, are we?
Commissioner Boland, it's not in your charter. And just from my observation of how your meetings run, I think these are things that would help your meetings run better. And I don't think that these things are otherwise addressed, many of them. Some things are in your charter, and we try to fold them in so it will be in one specific area, and it will be clear as to what your rules of procedure would be. But no matter who comes in, whether it's me or someone else, I promise you, these are things that will help your meetings run more efficiently from my observation over a period of several weeks. And I just don't know how having more decorum and, rules of procedure that help the city operate better could be bad for anybody.
Because that's not all it is.
I would think the way that I'm how can I say it? Haven't even being that I've read it or anything. I think that I'm assuming that it gives us a lot more detailed order. I don't think it would hurt. However, I think we still need to sit down, and this is the first reading, so it's not. I don't see any reason right now for us. I'm not saying we're panicking, but let's just sit and read it first, because I really do feel that some of the things in here are very detailed, and at this point, I think we really do need some more clarity and some more when it comes to the order and what's going on. So I wouldn't be so quick to just kind of jump there at this moment. I think I would just take this home and kind of read through it and highlight some things, and if we need some clarity, just ask.
I think we need to table it for a couple
Yeah.
of weeks at least.
Oh, yeah.
while we-
Oh, yes, of
while we
course. It's
read
just
it.
the first reading.
Why would you table something that's in draft? It's a first read.
It's just a first read, but right
And if
now,
you
like
have
you say, I
questions
agree.
Or concerns,
Let's just ask the questions
that's what-
and give the
That's what we're
concerns.
doing now.
Yes.
And some things may be implied, but I think it needs to be in writing. And I do agree with the suggestion with regards to our agenda, but I also think that we need to definitely, if and when it is approved, I think we definitely need to do our due diligence in ensuring that whatever information that will be discussed in city commission meetings are made available to the general public, so that they can come and state their approval or their displeasure with anything that's going to be an item of discussion. I think we definitely need to do that, but I don't think we need to get alarmed or get in attack mode because it's just first reading. And it's not something, I'm not speaking to you, Commissioner Bowling, directly. It's for others that sit up here with me. What I am saying is it's a first read.
That's it.
And we may, after hearing the first read, may say, hey, we don't like it, but majority will govern that course. but it's the first reading.
I'm going to give each commissioner an opportunity to ask some questions if they desire.
I didn't mean to work.
Did you have any additional question, Commissioner?
Are you talking
I'm not sure what's going on.
to me? I don't know.
You're not-
Something to me.
Okay, I'm sorry. In additional question, Commissioner Everett?
No.
Vice Mayor Merriman?
Mayor, you know, when I received the packet, I know there's a lot of cities that is going this route, and they call it like a civility of how your commission meetings have been ran. And so I think it's like, we say it's a first reading, let's read over the packet, let's, you know, we can always take out and add what needs to be done, so I don't see no harm in, because I think it's some of the stuff in here
Yes.
is much needed in our commission meeting.
I can concur on that. Also, I wanted to ask the city attorney a question. I know when we have three commissioners, we have established a quorum. In the event that we only have three, that's official a quorum, but do that now have to be a unanimous vote for everything to pass in that particular meeting, just as an example?
Well, what you could do, I would say yes, because, well, a quorum actually of three would be two, but what you could do is you could even address that issue in your rules of procedure.
Okay.
But technically, you know, a quorum for three would be two. So, or at least a vote, having an affirmative vote. You have to have three for a quorum, but you could have two commissioners who are present pass, you know, an issue because you have three as your quorum. So under those circumstances, it would be two people that would be necessary to pass the item.
Okay, thank you. Just needed that clarification because I really wanted to make sure that we can conduct business with three commissioners present. Thank you. In addition, question, Commissioner Hill. Okay, hearing none, we have a motion and a second on first reading. No additional question. Are you ready for a vote? Again, this is first reading. Have an opportunity at our next commission meeting to kind of tweak this as much as we would like. Hearing no additional comments, City Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
No.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The motion to adopt ordinance 2019-02 passes on first reading by a majority for the one vote. Now we'll move to resolution 2019-45.
44.
City Attorney.
44.
44?
Yes.
I thought we had an add, okay, that was an add-on, so that'll be next then. 44, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving change order number 01, attached as Exhibit A, increasing the amount authorized by Resolution 2019-28 by $125,093.08. Again, that's 125,093.08 for further work to the marina dock and surrounding areas, providing for adoption or representations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. At this time, I have our city manager just give us a brief background on Resolution 2019-44.
Yeah, Commissioner, this is a change order to Slayton Construction for additional renovations that they are wrapping up at the marina. We, as you know, there was a Phase 2 project that has been ongoing at the marina. There's some additional things that we wanted to see done in particular areas that didn't include their some of their renovations. The remaining funds that was there, concludes the $990,000 for this entire project. It provides for some additional things that weren't projected, but because we had that, as I originally stated, we had some additional funds. We would be finding things to do with those additional funds that will increase the beautification, some of the interior renovations for the north side, and some things that we want to do near the marina restaurant and entryway into the campground, etc.
Thank you, City Manager. City Commissions, having had the resolution properly read into the minutes and explained by our City Manager, what's your pleasure?
Everybody make a motion to accept the resolution 2019-44.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Everett for the adoption of Resolution 2019-44. Call for questions.
I have some. If this is part of the grant money, City Manager, is this part of the grant money?
Yes, ma'am. Remainder.
Okay. Doesn't it have to go out for RFP?
No, ma'am. Again, you asked that question previously, and I indicated to you on a grant that's already been bidded out with a contractor. They can do change orders, and if you have remaining money in that project, they can do change orders, and that's what this is.
Okay, and this work has been completed?
It's in the process of being completed. We're close to wrapping the project up now, actually.
So you authorized $125,000 more of stuff without bringing to us first?
Commissioner Boland,
Change
typically
orders?
on a project, change orders happen in between commission meetings. We don't sit and wait to continue doing those change orders until we get approval. That's why it's called a change order, and we bring it before you for final approval. So, yeah, that's part of day-to-day operations on a project. I can approve change orders and bring you that change order for approval at a later date. I can ratify change orders at a later date as well, meaning I can authorize projects to move forward without delay and come back and ratify. That's part of day-to-day.
Okay, so how close are we to having everything done?
I'd give it another probably 10 days as far as I'm concerned. I haven't been out there this week, and I went out there last week. I saw significant completion of a lot of areas that were under the grant. I'm saying another 10 days, but I think they'll be done before then. It's just, some of the weather delays came into play as well, but, I'd give another 10 days at most before they start all their final cleanup. And they're doing a lot of the cleanup now, removal of things putting back some things how they found it, like they had to remove a lot of the grass for the sewer line. So they're putting those final pieces of beautification in place now, along with some interior renovations that we wanted to see on the north side. But this wraps up this grant.
The water lines that we asked to have go down through the campground are all complete, all the way down to 115 down there?
I haven't seen as of today whether they are completed that or not. I know there was some vandalism in some areas when they were running lines, and they had to stop for repairs and replace the vandalized lines. But I would have to get more clarity from the director. But I haven't been out there the last 48 hours to 72 hours.
So we're going to pay them and stuff is not done yet?
No, they haven't been. No, you've approved this change order, but they haven't been paid yet. We're approving the change order to get all these additional things done, but their final check has not been issued to them until we do a final walkthrough. No, you're just approving it now. It had not been paid. No, ma'am.
And the building that we're working on up there on the north
North
end,
side.
what is that?
That used to be the old restroom before they built the dike. They had to sever the sewer line, and that restroom was never used again. Of course, they built other restrooms further at the marina. What I wanted to do with the building is, because we already got a new restroom on the north side, is use it for something different, like bicycle rentals, memorabilia, maybe a bait and tackle shop. We just don't know what we want to do with the building yet, but we had the funds to renovate it. It's very nice inside. They've done an outstanding job. They're now working on the electrical power. They put all the windows in. We have to make a decision now, you know, what we want to utilize it as. It could be an office, it could be anything out there on the marina, but, you know.
Does it have a bathroom in it?
No restroom in that particular building. It's actually, what we did was, it was a male and female restroom, and what we did is we cut out the wall in the middle and made an arch, so you can go from one room to the next. So it's one big building now, but you have an archway within the walls where you can go from one side to the next. And again, we're still sort of hypothesizing what we want this building to be. We can go in many directions of what we wanted to eventually have inside of it. But right now, we just want to make sure it was renovated, it was clean, it was protected from the elements, it has electricity. And be mindful, this building has been probably dormant, I don't know what, 15, 20 years or more since someone has ever been inside that building. So now it's going to be operable for any type of use that we want.
Okay, I have a couple more questions, then I'm done. The septic tank that was put into that building and then taken out, that's not on the change order. Did we pay them to do that?
I'm not aware of a septic tank. I'm aware of sewer lines and water lines.
I have pictures of them taking the septic tank out.
I'm not aware of that being in this change order. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not aware of that. I wasn't out there. I only know that we have a sewer line and water line, which works. Toilets flush, water comes out.
Okay. Are we going after the company that was there that put that in? Are we suing them to get this money back that it's costing us to do this?
Again, we have a sewer line and a water line. I have no company to go afterwards from a previous project at this point, because that building was built to code. You had a building inspector inspect it. We had a sewer line that was waiting to be installed. It's now installed. I have no one else to chase from a phase 1 project.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowden. Any additional questions? Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
No.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-44 passes by unanimous, not unanimous, majority of 4-1 vote. Now we'll move to the add-on resolution, Resolution 2019-45, City Attorney.
Yes, sir. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving the Pahokee Middle/Senior High School 2019 Homecoming Parade and authorizing the mayor to apply for a permit for the parade from the Florida Department of Transportation, providing for adoption of representations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. I don't think we really need a background info on that. City Commissions, which is
Mr. Mayor,
left.
I would like to offer a motion that we accept resolution 2019-45 for our consideration this evening.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill for the adoption of Resolution 2018-45. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Clerk. Motion passed by unanimous vote. Now we'll move to next agenda item. We don't have any additional public hearing. We had one earlier. We'll move to our proclamations. No proclamations. Presentation. We have one add-on presentation. Glaze Global Business Group.
Nobody long on the line.
Can you do one in a month first? Cause everybody take it.
Well, we can do that now or do it second. We're
Can we
good.
do long
Yeah,
first?
we're
That might,
good.
that's probably take a little long.
At this time, we would present our lawn of the month. Before coming up, we'll have the city managers give a quick background on the recipient of this month, lawn of the month, and then we'll go down and present the certificate and the monetary contribution.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. Every month, we award a homeowner with the Lawn of the Month. What we have been doing over the last 2 years is trying to create a sense of pride. And I think we didn't need this award to create that. It was already here in the city of Pahokee. But we wanted to award homeowners that go that extra mile to take care of their lawns and maintain their homes externally, because we know that it raises property values. It gives a sense of competition among neighbors, and it's a good thing for the community when you can put that sign in your yard and say, "Hey, I'm the lawn of the month," and make other neighbors jealous. We've been doing this for about 2 years. Mayor, we have so many homes. Sometimes I think we may need 2 of these per month, but we only can choose 1 for this award on a monthly basis. And so this is just something to bring out that inner spirit of community here in Pahokee and provide homeowners a little reward for all of their hard work in taking care of their lawns throughout the year. May subside a little bit because we're going into those seasonal months, and so the grass changes a little bit somewhat in this area, but we'll still be giving out the lawn of the month regardless throughout those lean months that we consider the fall months here in South Florida. So the winners for this month and the pictures are on the screen here. The winners for this month is Antonio and Rosa Resendez. Did I say that right? Where are they? Okay. Yes.
And if you would just join us down in the commission, if you would. To our Lawn of the Month recipients, on behalf of the Pahokee City Commission, I, as the Mayor, Keith Babb Jr., Commissioner Felicia Hill, Commissioner Regina Boland, Vice Mayor Clara Mervin, and along with our Commissioner Benny Everett III, including our city manager, Chandler Williamson, and our entire city staff, we want to congratulate you. We know that you have done a wonderful job in maintaining your lawn. And not only does your lawn increase your particular home value, it increases the value around in the entire community area. So we thank you for your effort. We just want to award you with this certificate and this monetary donation. I'm gonna let our Vice Mayor present the actual certificate and Commissioner Everett present the money.
So the certificate reads Lawn of the Month. This certificate is awarded to Antonio Resendez and Rosa Resendez, 1466 East Main Street, Pahokee, Florida, 33476, in recognition of beautifying the community, presented this 24th day of September 2019, signed by the commissioners and the Mayor Keith Babb, City Manager Chandler Williamson. Oh. Okay, yeah, you want to read it, translate it to me? Yeah. Just read it to them.
No, here aquí está papel de Lawn of the Month, the certificate Lawn of the Month. Y que está en recognition of beautifying the community.
Este está siendo presentado por él es el manejador de la ciudad, ella es comisionadora, ella es la vicemayor de la ciudad, él es el mayor de la ciudad, ella es comisionada y él es comisionado. Y te están representando en que tienes la yarda y la propiedad más bonita, y eso les está ayudando a tus vecinos y a la gente alrededor como una competencia de decir, bueno, si ella la tiene bonita, también yo la voy a tener bonita. Y también te hace el valor de tu casa mejor. Y te quieres dar este reconocimiento de parte de la ciudad de que tienes la propiedad del mes y van a tener algo al frente donde les va a anunciar a todos los ciudadanos que es la propiedad del mes, la casa y la propiedad del mes. Y por eso te están presentando esto en reconocimiento. Gracias.
We want to make sure they spend this money in Pahokee. So you're interpreting what the commissioner meant.
Okay, no, okay. Te están representando este dinero también por este honor y quieren que lo gastes en la ciudad, ¿ok?
Moving right along in our agenda, the next presentation will be by the Glaze Global Business Group. Ms. Morris.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. One of the reasons we want to come and do another presentation and to be updated as far as the status on the property out there. At this point, we have not been updated as we was told we would be, even to the point of the survey having been completed or whatever the case may be, because as you already know, we have been approved for the excuse me, as far as getting the property taken care of by the Brownfield. So could you give us an update?
I have an update in my city manager report tonight for you on the 35 acres. If you can wait for it, please. It's good news.
Most definitely we will, and we appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
But also at this time, I would like to know from the diocese as far as we understand other people interested in the property, that's called life. But the question I have before you as individuals, who is against housing in the community as far as that project is concerned? I guess I'm speaking to the lights again. Individually.
Come on now, Mr.
Mr. Mark, you know, you can't really direct questions like that to the commission either.
Why not?
Well, that's actually, if you Robert Rules of Order, you're not supposed to do that, Mr. Morris.
Let's just go.
But go ahead with the
Okay,
presentation.
Let's go.
Go ahead.
All right, good evening, everyone. Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As we stated the last time we were here, we have made, I guess, some tremendous strides in looking forward to bringing something new, something to date on this property. We stated in our first time we presented that all of the models, they were only there, and the models that we would be building would be like models to those. But we stated also that that was not our final design. We have gone throughout the community, and we've spoken with our residents of Pahokee. We've done it by Facebook and some other means. And everybody's concerned about jobs. They're concerned about bringing revenue into the city. The homes would do that, but we also went back to the drawing board and spoke with some of our designers on townhomes, looking to also bring something similar to what you have in Palm Beach Gardens. I'm doing a project in Delray Beach right now, and in Delray Beach, a number of the properties on Atlantic, West Atlantic, some of them, you have businesses on ground floor, and then you have townhomes and condominiums on the upper floor. So we, again, like I said, just from what we've heard from the community, from bringing jobs, bringing businesses into the community, that's another step that we have explored and we're looking to implement into our project. We, as we stated also last time we were here, we not only have local support and county support, but we also have some national support, and I'm hoping that on Monday some of those supporters will be here. We believe in the Glades, not just Pahokee. I live in Belglade, 30-year long resident of the Glades, and working, going back and forth to the coast to work wherever it is, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, right now in Delray. So I understand the effort that it takes to want something for the Glades and to stay here in the Glades and go elsewhere to make the money and bring it back to the Glades. This project, like I said, it's a hard project for us. This is our first one in the Glades, and we're looking to do, like I said, from the beginning, we're looking to do something great for the citizens of the Glades. Not only for those who are here, but those who work here but still live on the coast but would like to set up residence here. Also those who we spoke to that have been part of this community, but they've moved away because they don't have what they feel is adequate housing for them. They want the modern homes, but that's not here in the Glades. So speaking with all of these different parts of the community and people of the community and people, like I said, who wants to become members of the community once more, that is what we are hearing. That is what we want to bring to the community. So that's pretty much what we wanted to, from my side of this, wanted to bring to you tonight.
And we will appreciate that information, sir.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes, sir.
right.
It's coming.
Okay, next up is the mayor's report. I'll be hosting the Pahokee Elementary second graders on Thursday of this week here at the City Chamber. We're gonna have a mock chamber commission meeting where the student will ask the mayor some community questions. I got a hint of one of the questions. One of the students wanted to know why there are no nets on the basketball goals. I'm not sure which park or which area he's referring to, but they were just trying to give him a hint of some of the tough questions that are going to be coming at the mayor. In addition to that, we're going to do a tour of the Parks and Recreation Department and the senior program. There's going to be a total of 4 classes. 2 will be in here at a time. The other 2 will be touring with city staff. So I just want to let the community know about the event. It's going to be starting at 9 o'clock on Thursday. And if any commissioners want to set up here and answer some of those questions, please feel free to come in and join in this education or presentation to the Pahokee Elementary second graders. Also, I hope to, with the commission blessing and the city staff participation again, I think 3 years ago, we did a prayer walk and a unity in the community day where we walked the community in each block of the tour, the march, we just stopped and prayed over the community. And when we reached the park, different pastors and reverends and ministers gave some motivational speak and how we can just bring our community together as one. The last time we had it was at Martin Luther King Park. This year we're hoping to have it at the Commission Park. The date haven't been established yet, but that's something I really would like to have us do again. Didn't want to interfere with any type of election, didn't want it to seem as a political move, but I think it's something that the community can certainly benefit and help us come together. In addition to that, the other annual event that we had that we didn't have last year, which we hope to have again, is our Give Back, our annual Give Back Day. And what that is just like a giant yard sale that you're not selling anything. You're bringing something to the table to give back to the community, to those who may need that particular item. Last time around, I tried to talk to and speak to every pastor that I could to kind of get the churches involved in that effort, and even the commission and the community. We had the food trucks out here. We had food for folks, so we had free merchandise for people. That we was asking, and I was asking that we don't bring things that we just don't want ourselves, that's no good. Just items you may not be using at the time, but it would be items that someone else could really benefit from. So that's two things that, you know, hopefully we're looking forward to bringing back on an annual basis to our community. And the last thing I need to just mention, at our last commission meeting, I mentioned the fact that when a commissioner requests information from the city manager, that information should be shared with all the commissioners. It may have been some misinterpretation of what I was referring to. I'm referring to reports and pertinent information that we all need to have our hands on, financial reports or reports of project status. I don't think the effort to give it to one, we shouldn't take the time to give it to all, and we should certainly need that information now. If a commission asks for the gross receipts from a football game, how much that was made from a football game, I'm not asking that the city manager have to take the time to make sure we all have that. So just for a little clarification, but I think it's really important that when one commissioner gets some information, all the commissions should have the same information. And that's conclude my mayor's report. Next, we'll have our city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Commission, residents, visitors, thanks for coming out this evening. To the South Bay City Manager back there as well. Good to see you. I'm going to start with, well, all my information is good news tonight. We are working with an entity on the old hospital site. They've been quietly doing their due diligence on this particular location. Would love to provide, you know, some information, Mayor, Commission, on what exactly is taking place behind the scenes. But we've stumbled on this before, so I want to ensure before we make any type of announcements here to the public that this is a very viable opportunity that's going to occur here for the city of Pahokee and on that site at the old hospital site. You know that we've been, you know, as I said, you know, had, you know, several roadblocks over the years, and this is, I think, one of the best indicators that this time around we will have some success on this site for the city of Pahokee. So we're exchanging information. They're moving forward with really the federal government, if I want to put that out there, with some opportunities of funding to see to explore some type of housing on this particular site, and some other probably mixed use. But I'm not ready to talk about that yet. I just want to let you know that we've had some extended conversations. Mayor, you met some of these folks before on a tour that we took recently, and since that time, they have been very aggressive on looking at the options for the old hospital site, and it's been very. I think it would be when the time is right, something to be proud of that they're going to present here to the City Commission if all indicators are moving in the direction I anticipate. So, as it pertains to the 35 acres, some may already know that this was presented to the Governor and Cabinet today for the 35 acres. The Governor and Cabinet, Governor DeSantis, Attorney General Moody, Chief Financial Officer Petronis, Commissioner of Agriculture Nikki Freed were all present. They reviewed the 35 acres and our request for deed restriction release. That I'm proud to say that release was granted today to the City of Pahokee for the 35 acres. We requested the 35 acres be used, and they quoted in their information to the Cabinet the usage of what we anticipated it would be, and I'm just going to flip to that information. Current city is requesting partial release of restriction and revert over approximately 34.5 acres to allow opportunities for, and they listed these, economic development such as workforce housing, affordable housing, or public-private partnership. And that's how they awarded the deed restriction release to the City of Pahokee in those categories. Again, that was approved today. For the City of Pahokee. That is great news because it now gives this commission an opportunity to move forward on the 35 acres at your pleasure, so you see fit for the 35 acres. So that is great news for the City of Pahokee. We know it's taken quite some time to get to this point with the Governor and Cabinet, but again, they did award the deed restriction release for those categories today. Any questions about this particular announcement? If you have any questions about the 3 leases, as you know, they're moving forward with that for October. So we have no new updates on the 3 leases, but they're pretty confident that they will hear those at that cabinet meeting in October.
Has appraisal on that been completed?
Have not received the appraisal as of yet. And I reached out to Division of State Lands and I said, as soon as you receive that, we would like to have it as well for our records for that particular part of the marina. So we haven't received it.
Do we pay for that or do they? Ma'am? Do we pay for that or do they?
We paid for all the appraisals. They did the selection process of who it should be. They offered the vendors, the appraisers, but we had to pay for all of those services. Yeah. I did receive an update from the county on the gymnasium. They released a schedule. I reviewed it over the weekend, and I did make some comments on the gymnasium renovation. We have a great partnership with Palm Beach County. Over the years, this project, as most of you know, has had several prerequisites administratively for the county, and they've had to go back to the drawing board sometimes and again ask us questions about what type of floor we want, et cetera, changing of the cost of the project. But it's been quite some time, and I eventually reached out, to the county administrator and, relayed some of our restlessness with the project and the timeliness of it coming off the shelf. She responded back and said she understands, and they are trying to move this project forward as aggressively as they can. the response was, they have several projects in queue, not just this project, but they realized that this is a priority for the city of Pahokee. I see the District 6 representative here. She's been involved with this process as well. And I can empathize a little bit with the county and the red tape that you have to go through for a project when it's being shared along a local government municipality between the county. However, I did express, our restlessness of trying to get this project started as soon as possible without delay. We'll be going into year 2 here fairly soon when it turns 2020 on this project, and it still hasn't been done. And so that was what I relayed over to the county, with, a gracious, reminder that we really want this project to start as soon as possible. It's a priority for us here in the city of Pahokee to get this project started. And we have to position ourselves as their schedule provides to us as a city. We are the benefactors of what they're providing, but we, as I expressed to the county administrator, we still want this project to move as quickly as possible. There have been some delays, and the restlessness, I can hear it, among our residents, certainly from the commission themselves. District 6 is very aware of that restlessness that we've exhibited on this project, and we're very anxious to see it get started. And so I will continue, receiving those updates. There was a schedule that was provided. I will forward it to you so you can take a look at their timeline of when they will present the construction approval to the Board of County Commissioners. The schedule I saw says 2020. That kind of raised a red flag with me somewhat. I thought that was, I looked at some of the time frames from now until it goes before the Board of County Commissioners, and one of the areas I thought could be significantly reduced is the permitting by the city. As you know, we try to expedite permitting when it comes to something like this, and so I saw a 2.5-month gap between October, I think, January, when they're saying it would take that long for permitting. And I assured them, if you come into City Hall, we're going to expedite this permit fairly quickly. It's not going to take us 2 months for a permit for renovations inside the gymnasium, but that's what they put in their schedule. And so that kind of stood out to me, that it's not going to take us that long to do a permitting process for internal renovations on a gymnasium. So there, as indicated in the last email I read, there are areas in the schedule that will be adjusted, that will reduce the timeline when the project will start. What those areas are, one of them definitely could be permitting on behalf of the city, and that's what the main response was from the county, that even though this is a timeline and it pushes you into 2020, a lot of the prerequisites administratively that the county must do can be reduced if some things are moved around and adjusted to the schedule. So that's hopeful, that we'll reduce a lot of that timeline between now and 2020, where we are not still waiting for the project to get started. But again, we're the benefactors. They've heard our restlessness on this project, and they've assured us that they're going to move as aggressively as possible with this project for the city of Pahokee. Any questions, Mayor, on that? Anything? Okay. Lastly, and I forgot to do this, Mayor, but we have to appoint this evening 2 individuals to the ZAP board for the remainder of the 2 vacancies that exist, the remainder of their terms. And then once that occurs, we need to come back and probably look at the ZAP board and probably, do what we did with the Community Relations Board. But right now, this evening, and I have the paperwork right, we need to, these are my copies, take a moment and add 2 individuals for the remainder of the terms that are existing, the 2 vacancies. And be mindful, you got an October 3rd ZAP board meeting, so we can address a project that must come online, and it's with urgency that we get that project, online as soon as possible for the gentleman that spoke at the last commission meeting. I should have passed these out earlier. Just pass them out. Keep one. Be mindful, the ZAP board is not like your, I guess, community relations board. The ZAP board has to be, consistent of members that, for example, are general contractors, individuals that are experienced in growth management and development, individuals that are dealing with housing, any type of housing development, mapping, zoning. That is the preference experience that you would want on a ZAP board, because it certainly helps the committee as a whole if you have that type of experience on there. So I'm not making any recommendations. Those are your applications to look at. I'm not going to make recommendations. You do have some folks on there, prior elected officials, some general contractors as well, and you can discern who those individuals are. But again, we need 2 individuals tonight to serve out the remainder of those vacancies of those terms.
We might as well address the alternates too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
We
say.
really got 5 applications here.
Right.
And I'm thankful, I know I'm kind of mixing this up, but we also have the Pahokee Housing Authority Board we need to appoint, and that's been several months now. We haven't appointed, so I see one person at least have that checked. So hopefully we'll get to those 3, 2 board members for the ZAP, the 2 alternates, and the Housing Authority appointment.
Do we have applications inquiry for that?
Yeah, we should be able to cover.
Well, this is only for ZAP board. These
Mayor,
applications are for ZAP
the
board.
clerk is upon order. She's saying this is only for the ZAP board for tonight. For the ZAP board.
I'll have to go through and look at all of the other applications that were possibly put in for the Pahokee Housing Authority Board.
What about the 2 alternates, though? We
For
can
the
do
ZAP
that.
board,
Right.
we currently have an
We have
alternate that
alternates
is
already.
an active member, which is Mr. Juan Gonzalez. He was appointed in 2017.
Evidently, we having a problem because we haven't been able to have a hearing.
Right, I was not able to get in
2
contact with them,
Right.
so you're right.
And it's,
We need 2.
it's not limited to just one,
They have 2
right?
alternates.
You have 2, you can have 1 or 2.
Who's
But
the other
yeah,
one?
We don't have it, it's vacant.
Oh, I thought she said we have to.
If you have an alternate serving as an active member, wouldn't that mean you would need 2?
not responsive. That alternate's not responsive. Having able to reach out to him.
I spoke with him for the first time on Thursday of last week.
But you're saying one of the 2 alternates
We currently
is
have only
serving
one.
active?
Currently have an active alternate, which is Mr. Juan Gonzalez.
And how long are the terms for?
His term ends in 2020. He was appointed in 2017, so he has a term of 3 years. Mhm.
This would be my recommendation, that we appoint 2 permanent members tonight and also appoint 2 additional alternates. I don't think the.
Was for the vacancies of the terms. One term is for 1 year, and then another term is for 2 years. Those expire in November. So
Right.
you're only filling that vacancy for the remainder of the term. And then you
Okay.
come back and reappoint.
So
For-
let's do
just
the
do
2
Yeah.
terms, permanent terms now for the remainder of the
Correct.
current cycle.
Shouldn't we just do 1 alternate, just God forbid
I
something
definitely
happens in
think-
the
yeah,
next
that's
day or
the
so
second
and they
step. I don't
can't,
think we need to do.
they
He's
can't
still,
get
he's
somebody
an,
for
he's
that
an active
meeting?
alternate.
Yeah, let's,
Juan is still your active alternate.
Yeah, but
When you
there's a
appoint
space
these
for
2,
1
he'll
more.
still serve as, if you want to do 1 more,
Yeah,
yeah.
God
I
forbid we
mean,
can't get hold
Yes,
of them.
because it's,
Right.
And they don't have anybody and they
Right.
can't get this together.
Well, when
That
you,
way
when
we're
you
just
appoint
covering all
these
the
2
bases.
to serve the remainder of the terms, you'll have a full board plus an alternate. But I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Bowman.
Yeah.
okay, let's start with the commissioners. Let's For the alternates, not the alternates, the board members that would serve the remaining 2-year term, if we can look over the application, someone make a motion for that, and then we'll move to the second one, which would be the remaining 1 year.
He's
So
the
the
one-year
motion is
term.
to,
Yes, he's the one-year
to
term.
go ahead and to name the one.
Right.
He resigned.
But just one of
Mayor,
them, we
Mayor,
choose.
I'm sorry, my apologies, one more time. Martello was on the board, remember he resigned because he wanted to run for office, so he resigned, so he was on the board.
But
I
he
don't want to
placed an
make that clear.
application.
Okay.
There's an application for him in there.
Okay, yeah.
But
So
he
my
can yet finish out
apologies.
his term though, because he was on the board.
No, he's a 1 year. His
He's a
term is
one-
only 1 year, so
Right.
right now, it's vacant.
Right. Just letting you know, he was on the board and he resigned, so.
So I nominate Josie.
For the 2-year term?
For the 2-year term.
Yeah.
For the remainder of the 2-year term?
Yes.
All
We're
right.
gonna take care of those terms first, so
Oh.
we're gonna do that when, in conjunction with the 1 year.
But right now,
And we
just to
got-
finish, okay, I'll nominate Allie Biggs to complete that term, correct? Yeah, I need one to complete the term up to November. Okay,
Remaining 1 year.
Both of them
But just a-
expire in November.
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
So do we,
You got to put your own nomination forward individually.
Okay. And we can do all 3 of them together. Let's do the alternate.
Well, you got to give other commissioners an opportunity
Yeah,
to
you choose.
put who they want forward on the remaining 2-year terms as well.
so at this moment, we're doing the what?
The remainder of the 2-year term, which expires in November, to fill those vacancies.
Okay, we have 1 nomination for that 2-year term and 1 for the 1-year term, so we're just.
But I'm
asking-
saying all the commissioners can nominate
Yeah,
for
we
those
can-
terms
we're asking
collectively.
this
Yeah,
in
they can put their
addition
names forward. That's what I'm
nomination.
saying, yeah.
I mean, I think most of the time, the commission kind of respect the nomination of other, but we
Yeah,
can
yeah, I
definitely
was just being democratic.
Any other nomination on the floor for the 2-year term? We now have 1 that was Josie for the 2-year and Allie Biggs for the 1 year. Are there any additional nominations from the floor on those 2 terms?
So you need another one for 2 terms, right?
No,
Oh, okay.
just those 2. Let's take care of the
Okay.
terms first.
Okay.
I think the 2-year and 1 year is confusing the process. Can we just say we're nominating 2 to fill the roll up to November and not really bog ourselves down?
Yeah, but who would take whose seat?
The term or what have you?
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
That's what I
I'm
think.
just
The
saying.
way you
Gonna
word
expire in
it.
November anyway, right?
Yeah, they're gonna,
Yeah,
that's
it's
what I'm
expired in
saying.
November.
So it won't confuse the process. We're just saying, we're nominating 2 just to fill the
Right.
role to November.
Yeah.
So we can expedite this process and go to
Yes,
the
that's
alternate.
Okay. If,
So
one
again,
was
commissioners,
added.
if you want to nominate, it's up to commissioners if you want additional nominations for these.
I mean, I'm not well, since,
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Mervin has spoken, I'm not in any opposition of the 2 names mentioned.
Great.
So I'm fine.
Okay. Again, Mayor, these will expire, so you'll come back and you'll be doing them, so. If the commission is comfortable,
okay, we had 2 separate nominations. Let's put it in 1 motion, and then get a second, and we can make a vote on it.
So we make a motion then to accept Commissioner Allie Biggs and Josie Hernandez
Right.
to fill the SAP board seats until the November expired date.
Second.
Been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Boland that we appoint the 2 said applicants for the ZAP board. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passed by unanimous vote. Now, let's take care of that 1 alternate so we can have some backup in case the regular member is not able to make a meeting. Let's choose an alternate.
Remember, I make a motion for, is it Xavier Wiley?
We're saving him for the home, for the housing.
I'd like to make a motion for Samuel Martello.
And I'll make a motion for Brett Smith.
So y'all split the three, y'all split the hairs. I guess I can say, look at look at the individuals with experience in building, planning, and construction.
Yeah.
General, again, I can't make a motion, but you have a gentleman there that does have experience in
Yeah, he's,
general
real
contracting,
estate, yeah.
building, planning, and zoning. So it's something you need to take a look at.
Sam Martino.
Yes.
Okay, we got 3 nominations on the floor. I don't know how y'all want to take care of this. I know the chairman supposed to do this, but somebody can give me some,
Well, man, I can
input
change
on
mine
how
to
you
Sam
want to proceed.
Martiello.
Huh?
I can change mine to Sam Martiello.
Okay, so we
Thank
have
you.
2 right now for Sam.
I think it's Sam. I mean, it's just an alternate. I think it's Sam.
Good too.
Well, I mean, just to be fair, I don't know who Brett Smith is, though. I mean, who is he?
He's a local guy who has a pastor. He's a pastor. Has a church.
To me, if
I think we have 2 for Martello. I understand, I respect Commissioner Everett. Just the speed of the process, because I think this is getting ready to be something, so.
Oh,
And we didn't choose, I didn't choose.
I just saw the name. I just wanted-
And I saw the experience too, Commissioner Everett, I did. But I also see, Mr. Martello, he's active and see his face, and then he has the experience, so I think for,
do we have 1 or 2 on the floor now? Someone rescinded their recommendation or their nomination?
Yeah, I rescinded mine from Wilder to Martiello.
Okay. And Reverend Smith, where someone did put his name in nomination, did
Yeah,
you?
I did.
Okay. Could we do 2, or should we just?
No, it's just
remain-
one.
Just one.
Okay. Let's vote on the 2 then, unless we're gonna make forth a nomination with a motion in a second, where we have 2 on the floor. We can vote on each of those 2, and whoever gets majority, we will move forward.
we have 2 Martello. Make the motion, Commissioner Murray.
So, Mayor, I would like to make a motion to accept, as the fill-in, that's what we're doing?
Yeah,
The
all
alternate
right.
for the board of, the ZAP board, Sam Martiello.
A second.
Properly moved in second. Procedure-wise, do we need to close the floor? We're gonna open it up for an additional nomination. It's gonna be a little complicated if we have to, but I'm not gonna discourage that if someone wanna choose to do it that way.
It's all right.
Okay,
I'll make it easy.
okay, so
I'm
we
easy to
have,
get along with, you know.
we have
Will this be
a motion
expiring
and a
with the
second.
Current alternate in 2020?
for a
Or right-
nomination on the
or will it-
floor.
the term starting now? What'd you
Sam.
say? Will it expire in 2020 with the other alternate, or will it start
But,
now?
Mayor, that
She's
alternate,
saying.
will it expire in 2020, or would it be a restart for Sam? For this alternate?
Should be a restart,
It'll be a
right?
Restart.
Yeah.
since,
Restart.
Restart,
Right.
okay. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor,
Alternate
finally,
pass.
on this Friday, September 27th, we have the 1927 Storm Remembrance at Port Mayaca. That's something we do annually over at Port Mayaca Cemetery to honor the 1928 storm.
You said on the 27th?
27th,
Friday.
Friday.
What
I
time?
think it's 10 a.m.
Also, I'd like to quickly mention that tomorrow, Wednesday, is Men's Day at school. I want to say it's a national day, but I'm going to say district day right now. the men's in Palm Beach County are visiting local schools in their communities. I'll be visiting Pahokee, not Canal Point Elementary from 10 to 12, so I'm just encouraging men's, make sure you just sign in at the school and visit a school if you can. Thank you. Okay, that's the end of your report, City Manager?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll move to our City Attorney report. Thank you, ma'am. We have no old business, as I'm aware of. New business, the city attorney hiring. We need to make a decision on that. We have two applicants that have met the RFP requirement. We have that for your consideration. We have the current acting city attorney. We have three options real on the table. One would be to, and I'm just using three, so if there are other options, you can let me know. One would be to appoint the current city attorney as our permanent city attorney. The second option would be to have both applicants make a presentation before this board, and we'll decide then. And the third option would be to go back out for an RFP, since we only have two currently to choose from. So those are the three options I'm thinking that we have or should have for consideration.
Mayor, I want to ensure that we are in our proper perspective when it came to this RLI. You had more inquiries than what you received in your packet. And when you understand how an RP, an RLI, or ITV is presented publicly, you have to respond completely to the advertisement. You did have additional firms that applied, but in your RLI, you specified a qualification process for them to be qualified to be considered. We did not receive all of, they didn't comply with what your RLI defined for qualification. Now, that's where you are with the additional listed firms on this list.
So why do we have one on here and not two then? It says there were two non-qualifiers. Were one of
Right.
these?
Those were the last two.
Last two.
First two were qualifiable.
Oh, okay. I didn't see the name up there.
Right. So just to be, transparent, I want to indicate that you had more than 2 submissions, but 2 were not qualifiable based on the type of submissions they provided.
So the last two was not
Right.
qualified?
Right. You don't have a packet on those because of based on how they were delivered to the city of Pahokee.
How were they delivered?
One came by email after the date, and one was just top letter with a resume. You required 7 sealed copies delivered to the city of Pahokee to the city clerk. They were not arrived in that qualification. They did not arrive to the city clerk in that method. That disqualifies them. That's why you don't have them in front of you. We can't duplicate documents received in a bid for your pleasure. It has to be delivered here as received by the city clerk. Meaning I have 1 copy for the late resume, and I have 1 copy for the other firm that was delivered on time. They were not delivered in packets of 7 as defined by the RLI.
My recommendation is just a recommendation, just to get us in the conversation. We have 2 applicants that have qualified based on the RFP requirement. My recommendation would be to schedule a time we could have a presentation. It could be at the next meeting, or it could be prior to that, a presentation from both firms, and then we'll make a decision or vote on who we would select as our permanent, after proper negotiation for his compensation, who would be our next city attorney, permanent city attorney. Just open for any other discussions or recommendations from commissioners, how we should proceed.
So is there no way that we can interview these other two people as well?
No, ma'am, they didn't qualify. If you read your RLI for qualifications, city reserves the right to accept or reject any or all submissions, request resubmissions, and to enter into negotiations with a respondent as warranted.
So if the city votes to do it, I
Right.
mean, if us, the commission says we want to interview these other two,
Yeah, that's your pleasure.
okay,
That's your pleasure. I'm just telling you who qualified to your RLI.
okay.
Right.
Can I put in a request to interview both of them?
All of them, all four?
All four of them?
We're discussing, the only problem personally I have with that is, if you establish rules in the beginning, it could really be unfair to the other applicant if they followed all of those rules to qualify, and everyone is open to interview, so you have to look at that also. It's almost like a bidding process, and you say, you got a minimum cutoff, and they don't meet that, but yet still they're able to proceed with the interview. Have nothing wrong with it if that's the majority of the consensus of the commission. But we need to consider that.
I agree with Commissioner Hill, since there's only four of them. If there were 20 applicants that applied, then yeah, I'd say let's weed them out. But considering there's only four, I would say let's look at everybody. Doesn't hurt to talk.
Mayor Bab, I disagree. I disagree to the fact that everyone has the same equal amount of time to submit their application. Everybody had the same equal amount of time, and they read the RLI, what the qualifications are supposed to be. It's not fair to the other ones who did do as was told. I don't see that's not fair, because everybody had the same exact packet to fill out. So now now the other ones could say, well, okay, well, I didn't have to do all that either. Then I could just walked in there and just did this, and why put it out there? I think we need to stand by what was put out there in the RLI, because everybody had that choice. If everybody would did that, we would have been interviewing all 4 or 5 or however many it was. So
Mayor Commission, be mindful that you will have more ITBs and RFPs released, and if you decide to start amending your rules, you set a precedence for future RFPs and ITVs that everyone doesn't have to put all the proper information and perspective and be delivered to the city of Pahokee in a timely manner to be qualified. So be mindful that you will be changing your process for bidding, and I strongly recommend that you do not do that for the precedence of any future ITVs, RFPs, RLIs for the city of Pahokee, because you will set a precedence, and that will make it very difficult on this city administration to hold people accountable for what's expected in an RFP, ITV, or RLI.
One thing I would suggest then in moving forward, you take out the language can. You make it, if it's within legal realm, make it more definitive than the wiggle room that we, because you just read saying.
Why does it say we can if it's not good?
That the city can.
Yeah.
It actually says the city reserves the right to accept or reject any on all submissions, but that is those that have qualified.
Doesn't say that.
It does. Everybody knows in the world of RFPs and ITVs and RLIs that you can reject any bid that is qualifiable. One that's not qualified, it doesn't even make the count.
Yeah.
It's not even presented.
To be honest.
So you really.
Well, I was just,
I
it
think
was
it need to be-
an excerpt was
Yeah.
read. I don't have it in front of me to argue the language. I'm just saying if it did say can, it can't, you know, that's a little ambiguous. I'm not arguing for or against. I'm just, dealing with this issue of semantics.
Yeah,
and wording.
it actually can, it's not prohibited, but again, you don't want to set a precedent when you have, I'm not saying you're arguing for it or against it neither, I'm not saying that, but you don't want to set a precedent for when you establish some rules, that now you go back on those rules. It's not saying you can't, but it's just not a good precedent to do it. So we got two trains of thought. What I'm looking for, one way or the other, one can be voted up or down, a motion to one of those effect. One would be to interview the two that have qualified under the terms of the RFP. And the other one would be, if this is a consideration, to go ahead and interview all four of the applicants. So someone put forth a motion to one of those to effect. We'll see whether or not that will pass. We'll move forward.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we will interview the two qualifiers that filled out the packet as our next city attorney.
If we get a second, we can move forward on a vote on that particular motion.
Second.
Okay, been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Everett that we interview, receive a presentation from the two applicants who have completed the proper requirement for the RFP for the job of city attorney of the city of Pahokee. Call for questions.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick comment. It's not necessarily a question, but if I was buying a dress, it wouldn't matter that I only had two to pick from, but this is big. Picking the city attorney for us is big, and I think we ought to open up the options to as many people as we possibly can. Considering it was not advertised on Indeed.com like my motion requested, and we only ended up with 4, I don't think we ought to turn anybody aside if we have an option to look at them. We don't have to pick them, we just should look at them so we can compare.
In additional questions? Hearing none, are you ready for vote?
Sorry,
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
I'm sorry, I had stepped out to the restroom.
The motion was made by Vice Mayor Mervin and second by Commissioner Everett that we interview the two applicants that have met the qualification of the RFP. I keep saying RFP, we're calling it a little something different.
RLI.
But that's what we're.
RLI.
RLI.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes?
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
No?
Commissioner Hill,
No.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Motion carried. We will be receiving a presentation from the two applicants that qualified for the appointment of city attorney at our date to be determined, I guess.
You can do it, is that the pleasure of the commission? You can do it at the next commission meeting,
I think that would be.
at your workshop.
Maybe we should do it at a workshop ahead of, so we can ask them questions and talk to them for a little while.
Okay, so.
I have a
normally-
question.
You can do it at your
And a
workshop, extend your
concern.
workshop, I don't anticipate too much on the next
Okay.
agenda,
We'll use
so
our
you
next
can do it.
workshop as the time for the interview. I don't know if that's gonna be enough time, 30 minutes presentation with 15 minutes each for each of the applicants.
I mean, do we have to restrict it to
No, we
30
don't.
minutes
We
for
can
the sake of
actually,
argument? Okay.
yeah. If we do it a little longer, we probably want to start earlier, maybe do it since maybe 5 o'clock to 6. 5:30 is one of the two.
5:30?
I say 5 o'clock, and then if we.
Okay, 5 o'clock at our next commission workshop meeting, which will be in 2 weeks. We will invite the two applicants there to do a presentation. And at the regular commission meeting, we'll vote who we will select if that's our choice or decision.
I have a question. So why were these names even placed on this paper?
Say that again, I didn't hear you.
Why were the names put on the paper here? Why were the choices? I mean, how many do we have in total to apply?
You had a total, and let me correct myself. You had a lot of inquiries, folks calling, asking questions, et cetera.
How
didn't
many
even
do we
begin
have to
count.
apply?
But the actual people that applied was 4. 2 applied on time as prescribed by the RLI, 2 did not.
And you know, I really feel, I feel if I go home and I don't say this, I know it's gonna weigh on me, but it's just so sad because I think that we all know exactly that I feel as though there are things being done that Mr. Brandenburg was not able to do this, come in at least for this interview. And it's just, it really is sad because these are the little games that be played sometimes. And I'll say this, like they say, if I go home and I don't say it, I won't feel right. Just the political games that were just played with this sheet, I guarantee you, this is gonna all come back. You mark my word. Because at the end of the day, because earlier you were saying that we had people that applied and these attorneys that applied, then it went from that to only 4.
No, I never said that. So you have inquiries. I mean, people calling, asking about it. We didn't get official.
But
people
it was
applied until later on.
It
and
was
that
the
4.
wordings. It was the wordings.
But
The wordings.
don't misconstrue the words.
No. I didn't misconstrue any words. It was the words that were said. It wasn't said like that prior to. Only thing I'm saying is, if that's the case, if these people did not qualify, it just don't worry about it. But these are the little games that's being played. And it's sad because we know better. All of us know better. And all of us know exactly what's going on. And if I don't say that, I won't feel humane. It's not right. That's all I'm going to say. I feel as though all 4 of these candidates, I get it. We have done things many times before, out of order, not having to do. We've made exceptions any type of way. And if you all had 2 commissioners up here that said, let's interview all 4, I just didn't see what was the big problem. But you know what? I understand now because we got to make sure Brandenburg don't talk. But that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. That's okay. He don't have to talk. He'll have it one day. It will all settle, I promise you. And it's gonna settle the right way. It's gonna settle the right way. It's not about a black thing, it's not about a white thing, it's about who can do this job and who was doing this job well, I feel. Now, I understand everybody have their opinions and they understand and they have their little spanks about certain, the attorney, but at the end of the day, right is right, and it will settle. The dust will settle, I guarantee you.
We're gonna move forward.
Well, Mayor Bab, if I could say one thing, I don't think it's a game being played. The thing, if you read the RLI, that's what I'm saying. It's just like when you filling out an application or anywhere you go, if you don't qualify for what the application says, you don't qualify for the position.
Commissioner Mervin.
Wait, let me finish, Commissioner Hill. If it asks you to bring 5 applicants or 5 resumes to the job, and you say, well, I'm not gonna bring 5, I'm just gonna do it verbally. Well, they can say, well, you don't qualify for this. It's not that we not considering all 4 applicants. If all 4 applicants would have followed the RLI as was stated, it's not fair then to whomever they're putting in the application. It's not fair to those people who did follow the procedure. That's what I'm saying. If Mr. Brandenburg or Mr. Andrew would have say here that he did his after the deadline. Come on, you have to follow procedure. That's all I'm asking. So
the only thing,
whether sir, you are out of order and you're not allowed to talk. Thank you. If all of these applicants would have followed the procedure, we would have been entertaining all 4 of them. It's not about who they are. I'm not looking at who they are. I'm just looking at from what the RLI, what it stated to do. If they were gonna do it any kind of way, what's the point putting out the RLI?
If that was the case, I'm sorry.
Let me move because we're voted. I want to get Commissioner opportunity to kind of express himself. You can do it on the comments to bring it home if need to. But let's move forward. into
Okay,
the agenda.
I will move forward after I say this. If that's the case, there are many items that have come on this agenda. We've done things like this many times before. We've made exceptions. If that's the case, we have Mr. Global, oh God, Jesus help me, my words are just gone right now. We have Mr. Glaze Global, he's business that's been sitting here back and forth all day. We could have easily made exceptions. That's why we're here. That's why we're commissioners, just out of respect. If you have had two commissioners here that only said, why can't we interview them? What is the problem? And we all then put it on the floor as a vote. You all already know the vote was gonna say 3-2 because you all certain people didn't want Brandenburg here. But my thing is this, why is it we couldn't give that opportunity for all people to come up and interview so that we can hear?
Okay, we're gonna have to move on, Commissioner Hill. We appreciate the comments.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
Chandler, you better slow down.
We're gonna move to our citizen comments and general concerns. City clerk, at this time, do we have any comment card completed?
Yes, sir. The first one is from Mr. Esteban Cardenas.
Y'all a bunch of jokes.
Good evening, Esteban Cardenas, 506 East Jordan Boulevard, Pahokee, Florida. I just wanted to come up to inform because I know we've been following this up for a month and a half now. I met with Mr. Williamson and we are working on the project of getting under 14 and consecutive different age groups to be able to have a soccer league from February to the end, I think it's like the last day of April. Or I could be mistaken. So it would be a lengthy time for them to practice, for them to get to playing time, which is really good. We did talk with Mr. Williamson to try to get 15 and over league, which he's going to look into because most of the guys that were here were 15 and over. And most of the guys that are going to be applying for scholarships are 15 and over. And even adults that want to just go out there and play. I was thinking that's where relationships, indirect mentoring positions happen, right? When we play that sport together, an adult, a kid. So maybe we can have that idea out there, and we're working with Mr. Williamson to try to get that. Another thing, though, too, is in regards to getting the field open to the public. I know we've still been stuck on dawn to dusk on having someone after that 8 p.m. mark to that 9 p.m. mark, which the board, all 5 commissioners voted in favor of. There's been multiple things that just dawn to dusk, but I was doing some thinking. There's a few ideas that I just want to throw out for the board again to decide what could happen, because I do think this 9 p.m. mark would be ideal. The football team finished practicing like at 7:30 today, so that'll be an hour and a half. Good playing time. So a few ideas is we can either, I don't know, possibility of part-time employee, those 5 hours, right? 1 hour each day once they leave to 9 p.m. I don't know if that's a possibility. I'm pretty sure you could find college students that would jump at it. Another idea would be I reached out to CareerSource. I reached out today and I haven't heard back from them. But they might be able to even provide an intern here because I know they want to come and intern at the city of Pahokee, so that we might have that. Or another idea, which I know might not be as popular, is something about flexing hours, because kids come out here until after school hours, and I know there's a lot of paperwork and everything to be done during the field not being used, but there's still, I don't know if that whole 8 p.m. till 3 p.m. mark where there's no one on the field maybe we could flex that, alternate it sometimes to just have that one, like one person come in a little late or something and stay that 1 hour late. Just some ideas for the board to decide how we could try to get that 9 PM mark that you guys agreed on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next one is from Mr. Bobby Coben.
Bobby Colvin, 3096 Bacon Point Road. Before I start with mine, someone handed me a sheet that says, ask if the restaurant will be completed in 10 days. I've asked. But what I wanted to say, with this ordinance 2019-02, I want a copy, and I hope that there will be copies in the next meeting for everyone to have. This thing hit me totally negative. The details were glossed over, and we can't see those details. I hope this thing doesn't give the city manager more power. I feel like he's got enough power now, maybe too much. And matter of fact, for 4 years, this commission has told the city manager what to do, and the next meeting, he would come back and he would not have done what you asked him to do, time after time after time. I hope this doesn't give him more power. I feel like it's one way of silencing the citizens. And last minute additions to the agenda, this thing could have waited until the next time. It didn't have to be tonight. And something this important, there ought to be copies for everyone here, because we'll be asked to respond, but we won't even know what to respond to until we get here. I have so much I want to say, and I can't say too much, but you're talking about hiring a new city attorney. We had a great one that loved the city, and the 3 people that voted for him to be fired were basically the 3 people that voted for him not to have a chance to come back. And I hope that the Inspector General's office is watching this meeting, and I pray that you'll step in. Our city is out of control. Our manager, we need help in this city. And I just pray that we'll get that help, because somebody needs to step in. I don't like to call names, but we need a new assistant. We need a new city manager. We need a new city attorney. This place is getting so corrupt it stinks. I love this city.
The next one is from Mr. Colin Walks.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Commissioner, staff. I'm here in response to our upcoming season, our upcoming harvesting season, and I wanted to bring attention to a couple of things. I'm in support of there's a campaign in our community called Stop the Burn, and I want it to be on record to know that citizens are in support of our industry doing better practices. No one is trying to put our industry out of work or out of employment, out of production, but we as citizens here in the Glades area, we expect for our industry that we love so dearly to work with us and come and hear from us, the citizens that want to make sure our city, our citizens are safe, and we're practicing safe practices. Things that the city should consider as we come into our harvesting season. For example, on Bacon Point Road, when we are shooting waters from the cannons, they're coming onto people's cars. We know that water is coming from canals that has herbicides, pesticides, insecticides, and they're being sprayed on our citizens. If we can work with our industry to encourage them not to shoot the water onto citizens as they pass by, that would be a great practice for our industry to start practicing. Other things that when this harvesting season comes around, when it rains and we're coming from the fields, They tend to bring the mud from the field onto the streets. It creates a very hazardous driving conditions. For one, I have a new driver on the road. My daughter is now a driver. She's young, 17 years of age, not that experienced in driving. And as we all know, when the muck comes from the field, it turns very hard on the paved road. So now, sometimes you may, as a inexperienced driver, can lose control of a vehicle. It's very easy for it to happen with inexperienced drivers. I would just like for us to make sure that we are holding them to an account when it comes to practices here within our city limits. We may not be able to control what happens in other areas, but just think about us as they're practicing other things when it comes to the burn. I don't know if you're familiar or know that anytime the sugarcane is burned, it has to be at least a minimum of 300 yards away from any residence. Sometimes we're burning within that 300-yard distance. So these are things that we can call them to an account on to make sure that they're taking care of us, the citizens that support our industry. I love the industry. I don't want the industry to misunderstand. What I'm saying is just an accountability of things happening within our city limits. Thank you so very much, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next one is from Mr. Steve Messam.
Good evening, everyone, to the Commission, Mayor. My name is Steve Messam. I live at 617 Southwest 10th Street in Belle Glade. And I, too, am talking about an upcoming season that's coming up, which is the pre-harvest burn season. Again, to kind of piggyback on Mr. Collin, we're not against the industry. Matter of fact, we love the industry, but there actually are some things from an economic development standpoint when you stop burning the cane and start green harvesting the cane that can create more jobs and more business opportunities. Some people say what is some person's trash is another person's treasure. That's exactly what this is. We're burning up all the leaves, all the things that can be turned into mulch, that can be turned into biofuel, that can be used currently. The bagasse, they actually have a new factory in Belle Glade called Telus, where they're making paper plates, paper cups, and different things. So that's just an example of some of the things you can use from this trash that are burning. There's also a quality of life and a health issue with the burns. I have a 5-year-old son. When we were living in Palm Beach before we moved back, he had no respiratory issues. When we moved over back to Belle Glade, he started to get respiratory issues. My wife, after being away for over 10 years, we lived in Michigan, Jersey, and Alabama. We got back, she started having respiratory tract infections. Myself, when I went off to college, I came back for the first Christmas break. They were burning. Here comes my allergies. Never had allergies all my life. And then I go back to Michigan for school. No more issues. Now that I'm back, I have to get on my allergy stuff. So as it relates to our kids, as it relates to our older citizens, when they burn from October through April, it causes issues. And when you have that same harvesting machine that picks up the cane burn, it picks it up green. How do I know? They actually give a courtesy to Clewiston, Walmart, where they give them about a 5-10 mile buffer where they don't burn around that because they don't want it to impact their customers. Where when you have homes, you even have schools that are literally right next to cane fields, they're burning away. They also give a courtesy to our eastern neighbors over in Wellington and Lochahatchee, where when the forester folks come out, if the wind is blowing east, they don't burn because those folks complain about it coming on them, that black snow that we are so familiar with, and so they don't burn those places. All we're asking them just to be good neighbors. You have these outsider attorneys who are actually now trying to do a class action lawsuit talking about this burning and folks' health. When you actually change our practices and go to green harvesting, not only do I think it helps us be a good neighbor, but also create those business opportunities, those economic opportunities that you heard me talk about with the biofuels. And I would love to talk to different commissioners and just talk about some of these opportunities that can come and help, bring those jobs that we can actually create now by going green harvest and not burning that cane, which is causing a lot of issues. Thank you for your time, and I would love to come back and meet and talk with you guys individually.
Thank you. The last one is from Mrs. Katherine Marvez. Marvez.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know I was married again. Thanks for that. It's okay. Mine's really simple. I know you're not used to me doing simple things, but I just have two questions. Mr. Williamson, we spoke a couple of weeks ago about the parking from the overflow to the football games on the lawn of the high school. And you had mentioned to me at the time that you had a plan. I guess that since there's no more parking on the streets on Saturdays, all of the cars are parking on the front lawn of the high school. I'm not sure, but I thought there was some irrigation put in there. And you had mentioned that it was that you had a plan. So I noticed this weekend it was still even more so pronounced this weekend. So that's just an update. The other thing, the Porta Potty Institute has opened up down on the corner. When you come in from Canal Point or Marketplace Road, I think it is. A couple weeks ago, I came into Pahokee to a view of about 2,000 porta potties. So since then, they've kind of been moved back a little bit, but is that going to be a permanent fixture, which I call the Porta Potty Institute now? Is there a new business in town that's doing porta potties at the old PPI building? No, yes, maybe?
Where is that? Oh, the old building, oh, I see where it is.
You
want me to comment?
Yes.
I'm aware that an entity bought the property, and I've seen them actually myself this recent week. It's a business. I don't think there's any zoning as far as the type of operation they're doing, as far as storing them there. We haven't gone on site to see exactly what's going on. Maybe it's something that maybe DEP could take a closer look at to ensure they're in compliance. I don't think there's any stipulation as far as zoning that they can't be there.
Yeah, I just know how
I'm just
tough
aware
it
they
is.
just purchased the property recently.
Yeah, I know how tough it is for businesses to open here in the city of Pahokee, and I've heard business owners going through everything. And it's not a great look for when somebody's coming to Pahokee. I'm not going to want to come to Pahokee and open up a business where I have to drive into 10 million porta potties. So it might be something as simple as screening it with landscaping or something else like that. Don't really care what they park there. It's just not a great look for the city.
And I don't want to get long on this, but I know an entity, Mayor, we talked about an entity before them. They had the same idea, not the porta potties, but they were going to build a high enough fence and screen because they wanted to do the mulching, and we thought that was kind of an eyesore too. So maybe that's a conversation that we can have with this business, city to business, just to be business friendly and, respectful to the beautification of the area.
Yeah,
that they
and it
can
would
do something.
behoove the city commission to kind of give them some sort of idea on what you're looking for, because if you say, oh, you need to put up a 6-foot fence, and you have no control over what that 6-foot fence,
right.
it could be even
Yeah.
worse.
Again,
Thank you.
we weren't aware that they were there. They purchased a property and,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So they're
Okay.
there now.
Thank you, ma'am. We're going to move now to the comments, correspondence, concerns of the city commission. Let's be mindful, it's 5 to 9, so we can get out here in a timely manner. We appreciate it. We're going to start with Commissioner Hill and work ourselves to my right.
No, good night, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Bowling.
I just have one quick question or two. Are we talking to Green Tone?
Yes, we're working on a couple of, one document specifically right now with Green Tone representative. Yes, ma'am. Still early out to come publicly on what we're trying to formulate. But yes, ma'am, we met with them directly in one particular city, and we're continuing to communicate. The city manager and the city attorney collectively are working and communicating with their representative as of now, and it's
Okay.
moving along.
And are we talking to them with an EDA in mind or a P3 in mind?
I want to reserve responding to that right now because we're working on a particular document and we want to see how fruitful that is before we make it public. But they're amenable to what the document currently is. We had a discussion about P3 and an economic development document. So, but it's been very fruitful, Commissioner Bowen, very fruitful.
Okay. I guess I also want to know, do we have our legislative ask? Have we got that together yet?
All of our legislative funding requests were submitted. They were the same from last year, and they've been filed by Representative Pahokee in the House. And of course, Senator Harrell will be filing on the Senate side. And that would be funding, additional funding for MLK, our recreational facility here at the gymnasium, for additional, the basement level, of course, additional money for the marina, and two stormwater projects, Barack Obama and Main Street.
Okay,
Are those requests?
If we're given, if we're signing the lease and turning the marina over to ERH, then how does that funding, is it for the other part, the public part?
No,
part?
some of everything. Can't help but just go after more money to even make the place better than it is now. So it's for some of everything. We'll spread it around. We spread it around to different areas of the marina, the campsite, and the north side.
Okay.
And that'll, if awarded, Commissioner Bolden, we can design our scope on exactly what we want to do with the money, if awarded, through the legislature.
Okay, because I was at a special meeting for Lower this morning, and with the Business Development Board, and they made it very clear that they were sorry that they had gone out and requested that $1.2 million be given to us up front. Because they were not happy with how long it was taken, and that nothing was complete, and that this process is still dragging on. So my thought is that it's probably best if we ask for something inside the city and leave the marina campground area alone and let it just get handed over.
That's a thought, but you know what our lobbying team does, you know, that's very good, is they read the tea leaves of what the administration in Tallahassee, what their feel or how session's gonna go. One year it may be about water, it may be about emergency services, and so we try to fashion our requests, more than one. Like I said, we got 5 around what the governor and cabinet are making their priorities for that year. And that's why and one of the governor's things is clean water, so we'll want water, so why not try to go after some additional dollars? It can't hurt. But I agree with you, we need to do more things on this side of the marina, because we've done so much to the marina thus far. Still need some things done out there, but I'm in agreement with you that I need some things funded on this side of the dike, because we've been very successful in the last 3 years for the marina.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm not.
And you do have more legislative requests on this side of the dike than for the marina, so.
Right.
Yep.
I do want to comment about Mr. Colvin's remarks, and I'm sorry that it's so upsetting for you. I appreciate the fact that you're at every meeting and you're very aware of what goes on in this city, and you care very much. And it upsets me to see somebody get that emotional about this up here. I think, and I want to say this, and I want everybody to understand, and I'm saying it because I know this will go out on YouTube. I think a lot of people maybe don't realize, because of the Sunshine Law, we can't really talk to each other. We're not supposed to discuss anything that has to do with something we might vote on. So what to a lot of people I think sounds like we're arguing up here, we're not. I'm not arguing with anybody. I'm just discussing. And God knows, anybody who knows me knows I love to discuss stuff. So I think sometimes we don't always get things accomplished, but I agree with you. I don't want to give the city manager or the city attorney any more power than they have right now. Otherwise, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I don't see a reason for us to even be here. We might as well just turn it over and let them run it. People elected us to make decisions and to move forward with this city the best way that we know how. I don't know about anybody else, but when I put my hand on that Bible and I swore that I would do the best for the city, That was the most important thing I've done since I got married and swore what I swore then. So I think it's really important that we all understand that we need to pull together, and I don't know how to make this happen, and I don't see it happening. I'm like you, I only see it getting worse. Instead of us, when, like you said, when we ask him, the city manager, for something, we don't get it. The mayor said it himself. We ask that every paper that's given to one is given to all. I don't see where that's a big deal. It doesn't happen. This ordinance that we have tonight, it says that all of our questions have to be directed to the city manager, and we'll get an answer at a later date. Now, I have a hard time as a commissioner getting answers, so I can only imagine what it would be like for anybody else. I really, really think it's time for us to hold staff accountable. They work for the commission. The city attorney, the city manager work for us. And when we ask them for something, or we give them a directive, I don't think that it should just get ignored. And if it does, I think we need to do something about it. Now, I don't know about anybody else up here, but I'm really tired of us giving them directive and it being ignored. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowden. Commissioner Everett.
I jotted down something I think is noteworthy for us as a commission to recognize the efforts of our local schools in the Tri-City community. Nothing financial, maybe just a plaque of recognition. Since 1999, public schools were held to accountability measures via state assessments. And this current academic year, looking back at the past academic year rather, our area did something in this 20-year accountability stretch that hasn't happened since 1999, and that was that all of our schools scored a C or better in terms of school rating. And I think if communities, one of the things that makes for a valuable community is to ensure that we are supportive and engaged with our local schools. Businesses, future families and all look at our schools. And I think a lot of times our schools in the Glaze community do not get the credit rather that they deserve. We have an IB school. We have students that leave our schools who are very successful beyond the sports arena and field. And I just think it would just be a great gesture to invite the area office superintendent and maybe the local Tri-City Education Committee and others, and just let them know that we are proud, we support their efforts of presenting quality education to our young citizens within our community. I don't know how soon we can do it, how soon we want to do it, but I think it would be noteworthy to recognize those efforts. Also, I'll get with you, Mayor, one-on-one, but this year as to how could we do it, maybe in a resolution, but this year marks 400 years that the first group of African slaves struck the soils of America, and just we recognize different things as they come up, and I just thought that might be noteworthy as well. There's some things I could say with regards to assumptions, assertions, or what have you, but I'll reserve it for later.
Is it 400 years this year or 400 years
This
next
year.
year?
This year.
Oh, I was gonna say maybe you could do
1619.
something in February, but.
1619.
Okay.
Thank you for those comments. Vice Mayor Murphy.
Mayor, I just have one thing just to piggyback on the Tri-City Education will be coming in October to one of our commission meetings to talk about the progress of the schools. They will be coming in the commission meetings in October.
And if you have any child, I know my son is gonna be tested in 4 subject areas. And they come off the ground running, so, our kids, may be different than charter and private. Our kids within the public sector, go through some, rigor. And I think the accomplishment of the local schools is definitely something that we need to, definitely highlight and celebrate. First time all schools, were removed off the bad list and received the grade C or better.
Commissioner Evers, so we won't lose track of that or get off subject from that. Let's put that in form of motion that we present the regional area school district with a proclamation or a resolution congratulating them on their accomplishment in the education field for that same accomplishment.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer a motion that we, as a commission, recognize the efforts, either by resolution or proclamation of the history made with all of our schools being rated C or better.
Second.
It's moved by Commissioner Everett and properly second by Commissioner Hill for that motion. Call for question. Hearing none, are you ready for vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you. This meeting is now adjourned.
Yes, sir, but, okay.